if it live streams or not. That's one of the things I had to tell you, so now you know already. So welcome to the 4th edition of the Poets Agora. I want to tell you something before I start, is that every time we do this event, Angela and myself, we're amazed at the vibrant poetic scene in Athens. We meet so many young poets, young and old, established and non-established, males and female, trans, everything. There are so many. It's such a vibrant poetic scene. We never know who to take, let's say, who to present to you, because we can only bring 3 to you at a time. As you see, we have limited space. So tonight we have Adrianne Kalfopoulou, we have Lenia Safiropoulou, and we have Christos Siorikis. And so, but before I give you the floor, I'm going to tell you a few things about the Agora. So this year we are also starting a residency. So this is our big new project, and so it will be on from May 10th to May 24th. And if you know a poet, or if you know anyone who would be interested, we have some flyers out there in the hallway, and you can take a flyer and then tell your friends to apply online. You go to our website, www.poetsagora.com. So that, and then the other new thing this year is a live stream, which you're already aware of because it took a bit of delay. So I want to tell you a little bit about the theme GRAFT and the irrevocability of GRAFT. When we looked for that theme, we looked at everything it meant, and the more we looked into it, the more we found meaning to it. So, for example, one of the things is that living organisms or living things function according to memory storage. For example, in the apple seed, there's all the information to grow an apple tree. Same for pomegranate. Now, if we graft that tree, it becomes another. The hybrid is a different organism, a different plant. Okay, entity. That's it. So this breaks the chain, the natural chain of the evolutionary chain. Now that's not exactly what I want to tell you about. What I want to tell you about is 2 weeks ago we were commemorating the November 17 events. And for somebody like me who's recently settled in Athens as an immigrant and who is interested in knowing everything and understanding everything, I found that it was so much memory had been grafted on that event, that specific event, that it was hard for me to make out the more authentic from the simulacra. So I will ask the poets and you to reflect on what is GRAFT and where does it take us? This irreversibility, where does that take us? So that's all. I want to ask you to turn off your cell phone, and also tell you that as a tradition, we have a guest book out there, and if you would like to write a word, we'd be really happy, but you don't really have to. So I leave the floor to the poets that will read their GRAFT poems in the language they compose in, and then it will be translated. After, they will have a little discussion, and after that, they will read again another series of their poems. So, good luck, my poets. Start. You can start reading your GRAFT poem. You can tell us a word about it.
Good evening to all. Thanks to Karin and Angela for having us here tonight, and thanks to all of you for being here to share all this GRAFT thing. I will start with my poem, and after the readings we can talk about all the process. Ομοιόσταση. Στην επιφάνεια του καφέ η χαλκιδική. Ο περσικός στόλος συντρίβεται, ο άθωνας υψώνεται. Μια δάφνη θροίζει. Είναι ακόμα νωρίς. Στον καλό τόπο οι ψαράδες σταματούν και η άγκυρα δαγκώνει το βυθό. Αυτοί ψαρεύουν και τους βλέπουν τα βουνά. Ο καφές θα μπει στο θερμός. Κανείς δεν βλέπει τον κόπο του βυθού. Τότε η άγκυρα σπάει μια πέτρα.
Homeostasis. On the coffee's surface, Kalkidiki, the Persian fleet is vanquished. Athos rises. A bay tree rustles. It's early yet. In the good spot, the fishermen stop. The anchor bites the seabed, and they fish, and are seen by the mountains. The coffee will be put into the thermos. Nobody notices the effort of the seabed. Then the anchor breaks a stone.
So Lenia's poems will be read by Orpheus.
Yeah.
So Lenia composes in Greek, so the Greek will be read first, like Christos, and then it will be read in English. Well, you can stand there if you want, on the side.
Okay. Yeah, why not? The GRAFT. Μην κάνετε, είπε, γάμους και αραβώνες, γιορτές και γεννητούρια πια. Ήρθαν οι έσχατοι χρόνοι. Πληθείτε και ζωστείτε και προσμένετε την μια και μεγάλη γιορτή. Μετά έφυγε κάπου προς τα πάνω. Τότε όλοι παράτησαν μέσα στα παλαιά τείχη της πόλης ονόματα και διακριτικά. Έγινε ένας ψηλός σωρός από χρυσές κανάτες, περικνημίδες, σκύπτρα και ζυγούς. Βγήκανε στο λιβάδι, σαν κοπάδι. Τα άστρα γύρισαν πάνω από το κεφάλι τους κάμωσους γύρους. Αυτοί τα είδαν, οι ουρανοί είπαν, περιελήφθηκαν σαν ρούχο κι άλλαξαν. Είμαστε νέο τάγμα. Ο άνεμος σκόρπισε κάθε σοφία. Ευθύγραμμα πορεύτηκαν κινώντας το διάβα τους όρη. Τα διέταζαν και τα ρίχναν στη θάλασσα. Άνω και κάτω, είπαν γελώντας, έχουν από καιρό καταργηθεί. Ύστερα κάποιοι είδαν και πάλι την ισχύ σε όνειρο. Ήτανε κάτι κάθετο, μπηγμένο στο λιβάδι. Με ένα βραχείο να έδειχνε ψηλά και με τον άλλο χαμηλά. Λες και είχε σημασία. Από το νέο τάγμα των αρνιών βγήκαν και πάλι παλιές φύτρες. Σιωπηρά κινήθηκαν στα άνω λιβάδια της υπεροχής, έκλωσαν το μαλλί και το όπαν αργυρόλευκο. Το γάλα τους ονόμασαν χιόνι από τις απάτητες κορφές. Τα όρη επέστρεψαν οριστικά στη θέση τους, εξέθρεψαν το νέο παλιωμόσχευμα, το έβγαλαν με οδύνες μέσα από τις λαγώνες τους, ένα λεπτοφιές, αναρριχητικό και το είπαν γένιους. Τότε οι λιμώνες φύτρωσαν μαρμάρινα μνημεία, πάνω τους κούρνιασαν όσοι είχαν τον πόλι και κουμαντάρανε από ψηλά το πίμνιο, μα αυτό συνέχισε να περπατάει δομικά, ανάμεσα σε παπαρούνες και άγρια μέντα, περιελήφθη σαν άσπρο κύμα γύρω από τα μνημεία, αφήνοντας τα πίσω του κέρδισε πάλι τον ευθύγραμμό του δρόμου. Okay.
Should we read in English?
Yes, yes.
Yeah?
Oh,
Okay.
yes, okay. Sorry. Graft. Do not, he said, make nuptials and betrothals, feasts and birthings anymore. The end of time is nigh. Go wash and girdle up and wait for the one great feast. Then he was gone, upward somewhere. Then they all abandoned, inside the old city walls, names and insignia. A tall heap was made out of golden goblets and greaves, scepters and scales. Out they came unto the fields like a herd of cattle. The stars revolved above their heads many times round. They saw them. The skies, they said, are twisted like a garment and are changed. We belong to a new order. The wind dispersed all wisdom. They marched away in a straight line, moving some mountains as they passed. They would command and throw them into the sea. Above and below they chortled, have long been made defunct. Then some saw power in their dream again. 'Twas something perpendicular, thrust deep into the meadow. With one arm it pointed up high and with the other down below, as if it mattered. Out of the new order of the lambs sprang the old budding family roots again. In silence they moved towards the upper meadows of supremacy. They spun their wool and called it silvery white. Their milk they called it snow from peaks untrodden. The mountains did return to their original places for good. They nurtured the new old graft. They pushed it out through their loins by the pangs of their labor, a finely grown creeping plant, and called it genius. Then out of the meadows sprang some monuments of marble. Upon them came to nestle those that did possess the seedling graft, and they would handle the flock from up high. But it carried on its sensual walk amongst the poppies and the wild mint. It twisted like a white wave round the monuments, leaving them behind. It gained its linear course again.
Thank you first for translating this.
Yeah.
Yes.
I also want to add that Lenia's poems are untitled, and I'm the one who put
Okay.
graft on top. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So they're
It's fine.
untitled.
So this is my graft poem. Sentence. Order a beginning, unbidden, sometimes bundled, a gift of bark, compost. Compose your particular possibility. Citizen without passport, unless bartered. The tongue, a grammar bridge. Sheltered despite the storm-torn body of it. Call it love, call it graft, this transplant of the unlikely. Care given, a meal you used to count on. This is space, in the midst of rot, burgeoning the lineage. Each seedling, where the line breaks, new tissue.
Απόφαση. Όρισε μια αρχή, αυτόκλητη, ίσως τυλιγμένη, το κομμάτι ενός φλοιού σαν δώρο, λείπασμα. Σύνθεσε το μοναδικό σου ενδεχόμενο, πολίτης χωρίς διαβατήριο, πλην της διαπραγμάτευσης. Η γλώσσα, μια γραμματική γέφυρα, καταφύγιο παρά το καραγοτσακισμένο σώμα της. Πες το αγάπη, πες τον πόλη, αυτό το μόσχευμα του απίθανου, φροντίδα που δίνεται, ένα γεύμα στο οποίο βασιζόσουν. Αυτό είναι χώρος, κατά μεσής της σύψης. Βλασταίνει η κληρονομιά. Κάθε φιντάνι, εκεί που σπάει ο στίχος, καινούριο δέρμα.
So now we'd like to hear the way you were inspired by the theme.
I start. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, I mean, it sounds rather banal, but I was really happy for the deadline. Because suddenly I had to produce this poem. And the pressure of that had me writing. And actually, it was in bits and pieces, but as I was writing this, the Mati fires happened. And I took a drive down there, and the bark and the ash and the compost and the smell and the color, it somehow became part of what happened in the poem for me. And this idea of also language as a tool, but also as something that doesn't always work the way we need it to, or say the things we want it to say. So that was kind of what happened with my sentence. And the idea of the sentence being a sentence, that it's a sentence that creates a bridge, but it's also a sentence that sentences us to certain kinds of parameters, I guess, maybe.
Yeah, you have two meanings of the word sentence.
Yeah, sentence as a phrase, a sentence as a verdict.
Right, exactly, as a verdict. Yeah, yeah. And Lenia, your poem was really interesting in how it graphs different topio. You know, I felt like
It's a utopia, actually, the whole idea.
in yours.
Yeah. Actually, to tell Corinne and Angela the whole truth, I was writing this poem in summer about this utopia of imagining a world without power, without supremacy, as Orpheus translated, without below and without high and low. And once writing, I thought, wait a minute, this notion of graft fits in there very good. Because I thought of graft as a piece of old life inserted in a piece of new life, and I don't know, making the new old again, or make it complete with some old elements. So this served me for this idea of power coming again in this new world of new order or religion as an old graft, and changing all again to something new, old new, nobody knows, something that is irrevocable as
Irreversible, I think that's really
but
something
inevitable as well.
inevitable.
No? It's something mankind can't really avoid. Power.
Wrapping it.
Yeah.
Wrapping and unwrapping.
Yeah.
That sort of sense. Enigma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also inserting there something. So the notions of new and old in the process of grafting are not clear anymore.
Right.
So, what is old and what is new in there.
You have something about borders, Andrea.
In sentence.
Yes.
Yeah. The idea of graft is something that's also transgresses as something that we create a hybrid entity or a mix. And actually, Christos' poem that says on the coffee surface he sees kalkidiki. So I also like that idea that it creates a leap and a possibility, that there's a freedom there too in this grafting. And also, I guess I was thinking about the limits of language and how it borders us. And working sometimes with refugee communities, also with Alicia, we go down and the language. How do we communicate across languages? And yet there are other ways to communicate. So that's a kind of graft too. you know, a little bit of Greek, a little bit of Farsi, a little bit of English, a little bit of French. So, but we're managing. So in a weird way, we're grafting communication there too with these various, well, it's not grammatical, but it's still communication. And you, Christos, when you were writing it?
Talking about GRAFT, when Angela and Karim talked to me about the GRAFT idea, the first thing I thought, the first idea or notion was change. GRAFT for me is a change, and the graft is something that enters to a place or to a body and changes something and produces or breaks an intimacy or produces another kind of intimacy. And during the summer, of course, well, I was lucky enough and I was nearby the sea. So what happened when I was observing the little boats and the anchors, it was something like, okay, but what's happening in the seabed? And okay, I have to confess that the word seabed really suggests me something related with the body. When I listen to the word seabed, that bed, okay, there's a body there. So that kind of violence of the anchor and that effort of the seabed, it was what inspired me to write the poem. And of title, homeostasis, it's the tendency and the ability of the body to maintain a stable situation. So I was between that tendency of our lives. Sometimes we want to keep things as they are, but at the same time changes happen. We want to have some changes, or we don't want to have. So always there's something, a graft maybe, that enters, that changes, and that's how I wrote this poem. I would like to thank very much my friend, poet Christos Siorikis, who made the translation. And yeah, that's the craft process.
Well, I would like to ask in the notion of change, because we know tapandare, change is natural, change is. Do you think grafting is also part of that flow? Or is it a break, like the anchor breaking the stone?
But I think it depends. It depends if we talk, for example, for a human's life, or about something that happens in a society. I think it depends, but in any case, I think that in this kind of changes, there's something natural. I think. I don't know what Lenia already think about.
Well, it's probably both. You know, it's a rupture, but a rupture is not. It can be terribly violent, but then something comes of it. You know, like when somebody's displaced, or when something happens in your life personally or otherwise, or you lose your job. You know, a rupture pushes you out of a situation, puts you in another one. So, in a way, circumstance, what you said, Christo, it's life, it grafts it. In a way, life grafts us continuously, in that sense. And I like what you said about the seabed. I don't know why, it seems so obvious now that you said it. I've never thought of it that way. That the seabed is a bed, of course.
Yeah, because it's not my mother tongue, so I have this luxury to observe from a different kind of view. I think it could be due to this.
The translation,
yeah. It could be.
Yeah. That's what's so great about translation, is hearing the different influences.
Lenia, does the New World or new order break with the old?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. Usually, I don't speak personally, but in this case, it comes as a coincidence that you chose this theme this year, because I had twice a graft surgery in my life, so I have grafts in my body, 2 or 3, and I can definitely say this is a break. This is a counterpoint in time, because this is a memory in the body, points of memory. So it counterpoints really time and flow in the body. So from a medicine point of view, medical point of view.
Yeah, but that's exactly what I was saying too, was the grafting of it's the irrevocability once something happens and the memory storage is totally changed. It's a break, I agree. I see it.
And we're unfortunately we're not planned. So if you have a graft in a human body, you can feel it and you can remember it. So I think a plant, a wild orange tree that became an orange tree, perhaps doesn't have any memory of being wild, but.
But we're not sure about that.
Yeah, we're not sure.
Yeah, true. The plants, their feelings. I mean,
and I can't say that after the surgeries I'm more tame than before.
All right, so if you're willing, we can go to your other poems, and then we'll open the floor to every one of you if you have a question. Christos, you want to start?
In the booklet you will find 2 of my poems. I would like to thank Panagiotis Ioannidis for the translations to English. I will start with the first one, called Back. Of course there's a reference on Dickinson. Πριν επιστρέψω, να αγγίξω τις κουμαριές, εκεί που πυκνώνουν, στο σύνορο. Να θυμάμαι τα χρώματα και πώς πιάνουν τα χέρια 2 λέξεις, ενώ κόβεις τα κούμαρα και νερό δεν ζητάς. Ο αέρας δροσίζει και ακόμη δεν έχει κρυώσει τη γη. And the second poem, titled German Salvation, came up from a dream or from a moment between waking up and dreaming. Γερμανική σωτηρία. Με βρήκε στο ποτάμι που ξέπλαινα το πόδι μου από το δάγκωμα του λύκου. Δεν μου βγαίνει φωνή, όμως με είδε. Κι εγώ τον είδα, μα δεν ήξερα πώς είναι η βοήθεια και η πληγή. Και φώναξα «Χαλό, χαλό». Και επειδή δεν έβλεπε το πόδι μου από εκεί που ήταν, έκλαψα και φώναξα «Ροτ, ροτ».
Well, thank you, Karen and Angela, for this evening and for inviting me, and thank you all for being here, and thank you to Adrianne Kalfopoulou, who has done the translation of a lot of my poems and put our book together, sending Xenitia from Menon a few years ago. I'll read first an older poem, and actually we were having a discussion among the three of us before about how we feel about older poems. Lenia was saying that she feels like it's not, like she gets tired of these older poems, and I have to agree with her, as I'm going to read an older poem. But I mean, not that I feel like they're, kind of relatives, and that I don't live in that house anymore. But I'll say, but I greet the relatives. And my daughter chose to translate this into Greek, so that's also fall grapes. We didn't know the acrid scent of trodden grapes, stewing in their ferment. We mistook the flushed skins for sweet juices, bit the thick-fleshed fruit, learned these clusters were meant for the barrels, ready to be mashed, pulp and stems, seeds, stray leaves, churned to sift the liquid out of bitterness. What we did in love without admitting the skin we licked along each other's necks was mustos, the taste of what our bodies could not change, what others turn into wine. Was that relative?
So these are from Lenia's new project, poetry project, yeah?
Yeah.
You want to say something?
Yeah, it's something I wrote 1 week ago, and I wanted to try it here and to see if it can stay in front of an audience. It's a trial for me.
So, no title, yes?
Yeah.
Κάτσε θεά φορτούνα να ξαποστάσεις την πηγή, βγάλε και την περούκα κι άσε τις γλυκερές ιτιές να στάξουν μέλι πάνω στη φαλάκαρα σου, άσε και τα γυμνά σου στήθη να λυκνιστούν με ποιητική ασχήμια και τα ελάφια στην αντίπερη όχθη να τα κοιτούνε με απορία ειλικρινή, κι άσε έναν έφηβο βοσκό με λασπερά τσαρούχια, που κορίτσι δεν άγγιξε γιατί φοβάται. Τι φοβάται? Τον ίδιο του τον βάναυσο εαυτό. Άσε τον, λέω, σε μια έλαμψη τυχαία, από πικρία για το τυχαίο γίνεο, να σπρώξει το κορμί σου το βαρύ, να πέσεις με το πρόσκο και να πνιγείς στη λίμνη. Να αναγκαστεί ο χάρο να σε ψαρέψει μέσα από τη στίγα, πνιγμένη, μουλιασμένη στο υδράργυρό της νάμα, να σε ψαρέψει με αηδία και να του σχίσει στα άγια δίχτυα, την ώρα που σφυρίζει ξένιαστα τα πένθυμα εμβατήρια. Τι να σε κάνει τώρα? Επάνω σε τραβάει, σε παραχώνει μες στη βάρκα και πλώρει για την κάτω βασιλεία. Κι έτσι για χάρη μιας τυχαίας στιγμής ξεμένουν από τυχαιότητα οι θνητοί. Τίποτα πια τυχαίο δεν είναι. Κάθε τρίχα που πέφτει έχει νόημα, νόημα βαθύ και σημασία, τιμή και αξία. Και απλώνεται στον κόσμο ένας ιστός από βαρύτιμες χρυσασιμοκλωστές και όλοι στα νύχια περπατούν να μην τον εταράξουν και βάζουν και τα δάχτυλα στα χείλια και όλοι μιλούν ψιθυριστά και λίγο γιατί τυχαία καμιά λέξη δεν είναι, κανένα βλέμμα ούτε κλείσιμο ματιού, την τρίτη μέρα έχουν όλοι υπερκόπωση. Σκάβουν ένα πελώριο λάκκο, φέρνουν τον δυο βροντόφωνο Ρώσο τραγουδιστή της εκκλησιαστικής χοροδίας του βόρειου αρκτικού κύκλου και αυτός πέφτει στο χώμα με το πλατή του στήθος, βρυχάται αγκομαχά και κλιπαρεί τα τάρταρα. Βάλε, Βασίλισσα, το χέρι σου στην τσέπη, τράβα τυχαία ένα λαχνό, τράβα στην τύχη μιαν ημέρα από τις παλιές και δώσε τι μας πίσω. Όλη τη νύχτα με πυρσούς χρυσούς σκυμμένη μαγωνία πάνω από το χρυσό λαρίνγκι του. Τέλος αυτός σηκώνεται βραχνός, με ενδύματα βαριά από την πρωινή δροσιά και κουρασμένα βλέφαρα, κοιτά το πλήθος ταμπομένος. Τα πρόσωπα τους ακτινοβολούν. Πίσω από τη ράχη του δεν βλέπει, που ανατέλει πάλι στον ορίζοντα ο τροχός της.
So, you
So,
have to
but-
say,
Right.
I cannot understand its students.
Do you write in Greek first? Or?
In Greek, yeah.
How does that process work for you, Lenia?
I'm not good in saying how I write because I don't know why, because I come from music, so I just do it. It's for me like how do I say, cultivating a field or a garden, or that's why it's difficult for me to say how I do this and not something else. That's why in Katerina's question.
Have you written in German yet? Or English? Or
I have written in German when I had a German boyfriend and he could read English.
Facilitated it.
I meant poetry, I meant inspiration, I meant because it is fascinating. I mean, the language, you are so, all of you here, the audience here, you have so many languages, you're so polylingual, that it's really, why couldn't you write in German a poem? It wouldn't come? Or Christos in Spanish, it wouldn't come?
Lenia, would you like to start?
No, you did the news for your
Okay.
Kind of answered already. And it's like,
Sometimes, I have written some lines in Spanish, but they're very few because I don't think that I have the same relation, I can say, with the Greek language. It's not the same, but sometimes you feel that you have the need and the words come in a language that you don't decide. So sometimes you write something in Spanish. Okay. What I would like to say, and I would like to share with you, answering to Katerina's question, is that what I want to do, and I want to work on listening. And all the time I feel that writing is something that you do sometimes with your ear. And what I'm doing and what I enjoy a lot is copying or stealing or enjoying the phrases my little students of Spanish say in Spanish or in Greek. And I would like to share with you one of the best lines ever. And I would say that, okay, if I have to choose between this line and my book, I will choose this line. It was a year ago, and a little boy of 7 years told me that the word fiesta, celebration, party, is God's oldest word. So what I we had a small session about the words on Carnival, and it was something like, okay, now it's your turn to write a word, fiesta, and Kyrie, αυτή είναι η πιο παλιά λέξη του Θεού.
Wow, that's perfect.
Nothing more to say.
So did you take the line? Are you going to keep it?
I'm not sure if I am able enough to graft it, or to use it, or to maybe, who knows?
So this is, well, that's so interesting, Christos, because now I'm thinking of like these grandmothers that I've met on islands. And, now that I'm, anyway, so they, it's really interesting because I remember and what was interesting to me was to say it into English, for example. So I was on an island and I said, how is it here in the winter? She said, and it was just so incredible, she said, it's like a cemetery with no cross. And you can't steal it. Or you can steal it. And then, I know, it's just like so intense. I mean, and it was so intense that I still haven't used it. So if any of you use it, I'll know where it came from. But
you're calling tips now.
The drink, she said.
Yeah, she said it. She said, είναι σαν νεκροταφείο χωρίς σταυρό. And so the spoken language, and then another amazing one was, I was talking about, I don't know, I was saying something, probably some relationship that didn't work again, and I was talking to the woman, and she goes, να προσέξεις τι πάδωσε, γιατί δεν έχει κλαδιά για να πιαστείς. So you've heard of that one too? Have you heard of that one?
Wow.
No, so it was like, she goes, watch the sea, because there are no branches to catch on to hold on to. So that was like, so these are the phrases that stay with me, that I graft into English. And, those words, but they're so, I don't know why I can't use them in a way. I mean, they feed other lines. Does that make sense? Like, this is the line that seeds other lines, and I just, it's like the experience you can't articulate that feeds others.
It is true that, like, often, I mean, not in these cases, these are just wonderful lines, but a cliche in one language is poetry in another language.
Exactly.
I think you were saying that about German. And it's sort of interesting to me, I don't know whether you can think of translation as grafting or not, but
It is. Yeah.
I was sort of quite intrigued with the Germaniki Soteria, that in some ways the English ends up with a pun that's not, when you end with rot, and you've got a wound, and you then look at the footnote. But in English, it's working in a double way.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow, yeah. Rotting,
And to continue on Katerina's question, Lenia, I wanted to ask you, in writing poetry, because you're a classic singer, do you speak your poem first, or do you hear the sound of your poem first, or do you go by the meaning?
I'm not very interested in sound, but I'm very interested in rhythm.
Yeah, I
in
noticed.
the poetry.
I noticed the internal rhymes.
In rhythm. So I really think it's very substantial in poetry to have some natural rhythm in it. But it doesn't mean that it doesn't go the other way. It can't be non-important for other poets. It's not the only way to do it. But for me, it's important. If there is an inner rhythm, then for me it is a poem, even if it has the form of of prose.
So the other.
But that's my approach.
And the other is the rhythm, the sound aesthetic, like the rhythm, etc.
I think I said with the Greek, it's the rhythm that I respond to the spoken.
It's much easier to compose a rhythm in English, because you have very small words, so it's much easier. It's English is very charismatic language for poetry.
Sure.
Yeah. It's easy to be rhythmical in.
Not knowing Greek so well, I find it very mellifluous, melodious.
Of course
It is.
But I'm not an expert.
It is, but it's verbose as well.
Huh?
It's a very verbose language.
Yeah.
Greek. I mean, it's.
How dare you?
Sorry.
I mean, English can be verbose too, but when it's verbose, it becomes pretentious. But Greek is, I don't know.
It flows. I hear it sometimes from above.
Well, the Spartans were not very verbose. I mean, they're not sort of traditional, laconism. Come and get it. Fewer words in Greek than in English.
Take it or leave it.
Yeah, well, you can't say it in 2 words in English, can you? Modern Greek, blah, 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 blah.
A last question from the audience, and then we'll go and get sustained with different type of food. Nothing?
Thank you.
So yeah, I really want to talk to the poets one-to-one, which is the whole purpose of this whole gathering. And we have the formal part and have some
wine
food and wine.